crashes, defective products, dangerous drugs, injuries, and abuse. Across the state of Alabama, the attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis, Wright, are here to serve you. Your tough legal questions answered by our experts with host David Lamb and the attorneys of Hollis, Wright.
Hello and welcome into the attorneys. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Got a really interesting topic of conversation, a great panel of experts. First, though, a couple of ground rules, things you need to know in case you want to join the conversation. A couple of ways to do so. You can text us that number 205-670-1949, or you can call us toll-free 844-529-8255, or easier to remember, just remember 844-LAW-TALK. Also, really cool thing that Hollis Wright does each and every Sunday night. Attorneys are standing by live right now. So if in the course of the program tonight you have a question pops into your mind that you would really like to speak with an attorney about, you've got that opportunity. Just pick up the phone and give them a call. That's a free, confidential, and off-air conversation. So that's a great opportunity. I'd certainly take advantage of that if you have a question and need some good, free legal advice. Let's jump into tonight's topic of conversation. Leading the way, John Spade from Hollis Wright. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing well. What are we covering tonight? What areas are we covering?
So
here?
Tonight we're talking about Social Security and disability law, something that our firm doesn't really do a whole lot of. So I'm glad that we've got an expert that practices in that area a lot. The wonderful, talented Miss Abby Clarkson over at Lloyd Hogan is here with us this evening. Abby, so great to have you. Thank you for taking some time and being with us this evening.
I'm very happy to be here with you all. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about just kind of your day-to-day, what are some of the cases you kind of handle, and what your daily attorney life is like.
Okay, I've been with Lloyd and Hogan for about 5 years. We have 8 attorneys. We do a little bit of everything. We do handle some divorce law. I personally do not, but we have attorneys that do that. A little bit of personal injury and civil litigation. And then I manage our Social Security department and handle primarily the disability claims for the firm.
Okay. And the Social Security and disability, can kind of explain to us what that is, what the intersect, does it break it out into a couple of different benefits? Explain to us what that all means.
There are a couple of different benefits. I'll warn you, there's some acronyms involved. The government loves their initials.
Yeah, they do.
Everything, some letters that stand for something. The program that most people think of when they think of disability is SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance.
Okay.
And that is the fund, if you've ever looked at your pay stub and seen all the money the government takes out for your paycheck, one of those is the FICA wages, and part of that is for disability insurance. Okay. And it's a government insurance that protects the worker. In case you ever become disabled, then the government will pay you a check to kind of make up for some of the income you've lost because you're unable to work. They have another program called SSI, another acronym, Supplemental Security Income.
Okay.
And that is also if you've proven you're medically disabled, but you may not have the work history or paid in enough taxes to qualify for SSDI. SSI is a needs-based program. So in addition to qualifying medically, you have to meet financial criteria to draw that benefit, and it's reserved really for the poorest of the poor. You're not going to get rich drawing SSI, but it'll pay you a little bit every month.
Help supplement it just a little bit.
Yeah, hence the supplemental in the title. Yeah.
Now you said something where you're describing others as medically disabled. What does that mean under Social Security's rules? How do you go about proving that?
Okay, that's a lot to unpack. So what Social Security means is they call it your past relevant work, and that's any full-time job you have done in the last 15 years that you've worked at for long enough to have learned how to do the job. And they first look at that and they say, could this person return to that work? And that's step one. And if the person's not able to return to those past jobs, then they look at step two, is there maybe something easier this person could do, less physically demanding, what have you. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up. Maybe you're 45, you've hurt your back, you worked in construction, maybe you're not able to go back and do that anymore, lay brick all day or whatever, but maybe there's something lighter that you could still do. So it generally means ruling out any work that exists in the national economy.
Okay.
And then as a person ages, and it's pretty complicated, it's probably too much to go into on this program, but those rules relax a little bit because the government understands as you age, you're less inclined to learn new careers.
You know, what is always interesting to me, we've done a few hundred of these shows, and it's interesting to me how attorneys, I don't want to say you attorneys, but the attorneys, how you all find where you land, you know, and what your area is, because every show it's almost a different topic and subject matter. For you, I'm just curious how you landed on this, because to me, it seems very complex and complicated. And I mean, for you, how did you kind of come to this line of work?
I did land in it, that's for sure. I kind of befriended an older attorney that sort of was mentoring me, and he had some issues going on where he needed a little bit of help, so I started kind of covering some of these for him just when I was a hungry lawyer doing whatever I could do to make some money, and I really enjoyed it. It's non-adversarial. That means that there's no attorney representing the government. So it's just you in there with your client and the judge. And I really appreciate not having to deal with an attorney on the other side.
Kind of build your case up and go present your evidence.
Right, yeah. And then just the result you get from, you go to court, you get a pretty finite result, like you get to help that person and change their lives, really.
You do.
Absolutely, and that's, doing personal injury work, that's one of the benefits in what we do is being able to help somebody when nobody else can really help them in their time of need. It sounds like you get that same kind of satisfaction doing Social Security disability, and you could probably get a result a little bit quicker than we can because the adversarial process drags it out from time to time. But being able to get that result must be really nice for your clients.
It sure is.
Yeah, I would bet. All right, why don't we do this? Why don't we step aside? All right, so we'll take our first break of the evening right here. As we step aside, a couple of reminders. Don't forget, Hollis Wright is all over social media. So not only can you call them and the numbers and the emails, you can do that, but if you are a big fan of Facebook or Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, the firm is also there. Just search Hollis Wright and you'll find them there. Great informational, educational resource. Just kind of a great follow if you're on social media. Make sure you pick up and you kind of keep up with what's going on at Hollis Wright. Stay tuned. We've got more of the attorneys coming right up.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis Wright, a personal injury law firm, and thank you for watching The Attorneys. We hope you, a friend, or a loved one never needs legal counsel for a case. But if you do, the goal of the show is simple: to provide answers and legal counsel when you need it the most. Your call to the show is free and off air. So if you have questions specific to the show or related to other accident or injury topics, call, email, or text us. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, or go to hollis-wright.com and click on the Contact Us button. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us and watching The Attorneys.
The Attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis Wright, are here to serve you.
When we started the show 8 years ago, my hope was we would be able to do what we do best, which is to help people answer real-world legal-related issues they have in their life.
People oftentimes are confronting various legal issues and problems in their lives that range across the gamut of legal practice areas. Bankruptcy, criminal law, family law, just to name a few. And to be able to have a 30-minute platform or format to where we can just cover various legal topics once a week, that's obviously the primary focus of the show.
That we would be able to use the resources of the many lawyers we have at this law firm to create a plan that had a lasting impact that also gave back to the community at the same time. And I think we've done just that with The Attorneys.
Welcome back into the attorneys. Appreciate you being with us tonight. Before we get back into the conversation, a reminder, the attorneys from Hollis Wright standing by live all throughout the program tonight. So if you have a question, need some free, confidential, all-fair legal advice, take advantage of that opportunity all throughout the program tonight. John?
So we're talking about Social Security disability, and we've got Abby here this evening with us. Abby, kind of walk us through, if I want to get disability, how does somebody go about applying for disability, and just kind of walk us through how that process works. Generally, I know there's a lot of nuances involved there, but generally, what does a person have to do to apply for disability?
Okay. Well, a person would need to file an application with Social Security. That can either be done in person, just by physically going down to the Social Security office and sitting with someone, or it can be done online. Social Security's made a lot of improvements in their website, and you can actually get on the website and do it that way. We file applications for our clients. That's something we can do on their behalves, but typically it's just providing a lot of information about where you've worked, your age, what your health impairments are, making sure they know what medications you're taking, what doctors you're seeing, and then Social Security takes that information and sends it to another office with an acronym, DDS, Disability Determination Services.
We're going to be quizzed on this at the end of the show.
Yes, I hope you're making flashcards. And DDS then orders the medical evidence and kind of puts everything together and makes a decision, is this person disabled under our rules or aren't they?
And along that process, do you have a hearing that you have to go in front of to get approved for benefits? Where in the process does that come into play?
That's after you've been shut down a couple times. You'd initially apply. You don't have to go in front of a judge or anything like that. Disability Determination Services lets you know, yay or nay. If you're denied, and this is a new thing, so hot tip for the viewers, Alabama has reinstated a reconsideration process where then you have to file initially a first appeal. Okay. And ask that same office, like, hey, are you sure I'm not disabled? Take another look. So that's done. That takes a few months. If reconsideration is denied, then the appeal would go, it's called a request for hearing. You go in front of an administrative law judge. And that's the big waiting time. You always hear about the backlogs and the waiting time to get disability. That's really kind of where the wait kicks in. It's waiting to see that judge.
Now, and the clients that you represent, do you get people all throughout the process? Some that are at the beginning, starting to submit their initial, documentation. Some that maybe have been denied or in the, trying to get everything reconsideration. Where all do your clients come from? Is it all along the process, or more in the beginning, in the back?
Probably more in the beginning. We really encourage people to hire an attorney straight out of the gate. We can be more thorough. We can kind of coordinate with the client throughout the application process, stay on them, make sure they're completing all the paperwork and, helping them out with those sorts of things. But yeah, we pick up clients throughout the process.
It sounds like there might be some access through the internet for the clients to go on and do it themselves, or somebody who might be disabled to do it themselves. It'd be a whole lot easier to have an attorney represent you and be able to facilitate everything to make sure that it's done correct the first time, and you end up getting, what you deserve, approved disability, whatever it might be, by having someone get involved a lot earlier in the process and having to kind of swim back upstream more or less on the reconsideration. Would you agree with that?
You're absolutely right. And routinely we have people that come to us after they've already been denied. They were trying to do it alone. And then I look through the file and I see, just glaring errors that the person made. The average person's not used to dealing with government agencies and all this red tape and things, but it's things if an attorney would have been involved earlier in the process, maybe that could have been avoided.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If I were, applying for disability, when would you recommend that I should begin applying for disability? Is it, at the very beginning when you're unable to work? Should you wait to see if you can get back to work? What would you recommend as far as when you should go and maybe contact an attorney or try to apply for disability?
Yesterday. Yes. With any government agency, it takes a long time. Kind of the flip side of that is there's a durational requirement, which you have to show you have a disability that's either already lasted 12 months or they think it's going to last 12 months. So we do have some instances of people that apply really early on, and then Social Security says, well, yeah, maybe you've had this wreck, you're having some back problems, but you're going to have this surgery in 12 months from now. We think you'll be working. So we have a little bit of that, but we always tell people the earlier you start, the better, because you will be waiting.
Okay.
Both for the initial decision, and then, unfortunately, a lot of people are denied, and then they're waiting on that court date.
That's right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
As far as when you're going about and talking about proving the disability, what is some evidence? What do you rely upon to prove up whether somebody is disabled or not?
Medical evidence is the king. You need to have some good objective medical evidence, really establishing what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
They like to have, results from tests, MRIs and things like that if we're looking at, a back issue. We tell clients it's very important when you see your doctor, a lot of times in just general conversation, how you doing? I'm fine. And then the doctor's record says this person was doing pretty good that day. We tell them when you go see your doctor, you complain about every single thing that's bothering you that day. Because really that needs to be documented, and the primary way to do that is through doctor's notes, medical records.
Absolutely. It's not the time to be a tough guy and say, yeah, I'm doing great, when really you're doubled over in pain when you walk out of the doctor's office.
Right.
Now, as far as the ultimate determination, are you disabled or you're not, who determines whether or not somebody qualifies for disability? Who makes that determination? Is it another acronym?
Are you talking about financially or medically or?
Medically. Let's start with medically.
Okay. Well, at the initial application, it's that DDS acronym, the office, and there's employees there that make that determination. Once that's exhausted, assuming a person's denied there, then it goes to the administrative law judge, which are judges that are employees of the government that conduct hearings. And they're usually in person, they're informal, and you go in front of the judge and the judge decides.
All right. Time for us to take our final break of the evening. We're going to step aside right here, but don't worry, we've got one more segment remaining, but just a few minutes remaining. If you want to join our conversation, we'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned. More of The Attorneys coming right up.
I'm attorney Bobby Bell with Hollis, Wright Law Firm. In today's world, social media is all around us. It is common for many people to post on social media regarding their life and activities on a daily basis. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and similar social media are a great way to stay connected to others and to share your experiences and thoughts. Some seemingly innocent social media posts, however, can have devastating effects if you're involved in litigation, especially in a personal injury claim, a contested divorce, or a child custody battle. Courts regularly allow adverse parties access to the other side's social media accounts, allowing relevant posts to be presented as evidence. These rules have allowed social media to become a hotbed of information in the litigation world. In fact, we are seeing more and more preservation orders issued by courts requiring you to collect and save any and all social media activity. Therefore, it's advisable that even before there's litigation, lawyers should advise their clients that social media content may be discoverable. Here are a few helpful tips. 1. Do not post anything about the case. This includes posts regarding conversations or meetings with your attorneys, remarks about your injuries, negative remarks about the opposing party. Do not post anything you would not want read in open court to either a judge or a jury. 2. Avoid new friend requests from people you do not know. Many law firms and insurance offices may attempt to have employees follow you on social media in an attempt to gain information. 3. Limit adding new photos, check-ins, photo tagging, etc. Seemingly innocent posts may be used against you. Regular check-ins at restaurants, parties, or other events with friends can cast doubt on any claims of loss of enjoyment of life, pain and suffering, or emotional distress, since you appear to be living life as usual. 4. Increase your privacy settings. Many social media sites frequently update and change their privacy settings. In the litigation context, it is possible you may have to preserve and present anything you posted. Therefore, we encourage you to be smart and careful when using social media. Please remember, your call, email, or text to the attorneys is free. All of us at Hollis Wright want to help answer your questions on real issues you face. Remember, a competent lawyer will respond to every question you send in. That's our pledge and promise to you. Thanks for watching The Attorneys on WBTM 13.
Welcome back into The Attorneys. Right at 7 minutes remaining in the program, so the clock is ticking. If you want to take advantage of that opportunity to speak with attorneys from Hollis Wright, standing by live, about 7 minutes remaining in tonight's show. John?
Yeah, before the break, we were talking about kind of the general process and how you go about getting approved for disability. Abby, if you kind of take us through, once you get to that administrative law judge and you have the hearing in front of the judge, kind of take us through what all is encompassed and what all happens during that hearing.
Okay. Well, leading up to the hearing, it can be a bit of a wait. For a while, it was upwards of 24 months between asking for the hearing and actually getting the hearing.
Oh, wow.
You've heard of that Social Security backlog. I'm sure you've read news articles about it. Social Security has made great strides in working through that backlog, and we're getting hearing dates now in well under a year.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, it is great. It's great for the clients.
Now, during that time that you're waiting to get in front of the administrative law judge or waiting to get approved for disability, would you recommend to your clients that they try to go back to work during that period of time? Because, I mean, money's tight. They're trying to do everything they can to kind of survive. What would you recommend in that situation?
Yeah, and this is something we deal with literally daily. If you have no income coming in, your bills don't stop coming in. We certainly understand that, and Social Security understands that, and they actually have a provision. It's another acronym, Unsuccessful Work Attempt, or UWA, and that basically means you can try to go back to work, and if you're unable to maintain that work for 6 months and you stop basically because of your medical impairments, then they will not count that against you. So you could technically try to work during, and it happens a lot. People try to work, they last a couple months. They realize they just absolutely can't do it. They quit, they're fired. So that's good that that's allowed. And then also people can work part-time and still even draw disability benefits.
Because I think that the general idea is we want to encourage people to try to get back to work if they can and not discourage them from re-entering the workforce if possible. While they're waiting for the determination from the SSDI, SSI, whatever benefits they're trying to get.
Absolutely. And what I've learned from about 10 years of doing this is that most people really want to work. They enjoy the feeling of contributing to society. They like to have somewhere to get up and go every day. And mentally, I think it's good for people. And that's what I've encountered in my practice is most people really do want to work.
Let's shift gears a little bit. We've been talking about the process of how to get approved for disability and some of the obstacles and hurdles you got to get over to eventually hopefully get approved. Once you get approved, generally how long does it take for you just start receiving benefits? What does that look like on the other side once you've actually been approved for disability?
That actually happens fairly quickly. Oftentimes in a matter of weeks, usually no more than 90 days, you'll start getting your monthly amount, which is, it's contingent on how much you've worked and paid in over the years, exactly how much that'll be. And then there's also retroactive back pay, calculated back from when you stopped working, which oftentimes can be a significant amount of money. And generally that's paid out within a few months as well. Okay,
so you do get the back pay as well as going forward, at least a percentage of what you would have been making had you not suffered the disability.
Right. And a good tip to throw in here, because a lot of people don't know this, is under SSD, the main program, they don't pay you for the first 5 full months you're out of work. So the benefits only kick in on month 6. I'm not really sure why that is.
Seems a little arbitrary to me. But
Yeah, there's been some talk of suspending that rule and making it go effective all the way back, but who knows what'll happen with that.
And just real quick, I know we're getting low on time, but after you get approved, do you have to go back through any sort of recertification process, like annually or anything like that, after you get approved for the disability? Is there any follow-up, I guess, that has to be done?
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, if a person's 60 anyway, they're typically not going to look at them again. But generally people that are younger, especially someone that requires the surgery or something like that, they'll usually go back in 2 years or so, order some medical records, check in on them, see if they think they're still disabled or not. And they will stop paying benefits if they say, hey, we awarded you disability 2 years ago. We've checked your medical records. You haven't been to the doctor in a year, so you must be fine. They'll say we're not gonna pay you this benefit anymore, and then you have to go back to court, which is a lot of fun.
Restart the whole process over again.
We've covered a whole lot of ground, but we only have a couple minutes remaining in the show, and I want to give both of you the opportunity just for a final thoughts for our viewers. And Abby, if you would, you go first, please.
Do I need to look at the camera while I do
You can
this?
if you want. Sure. Just look at that one right
Okay.
there.
This stuff is really complicated, and we've barely scratched the surface of it today. I think 2 key things you need to keep in mind is don't be ashamed to ask for help. There are attorneys, very good attorneys, besides myself, that do this kind of work that can walk you through this. And the earlier you start this, the better, because it's a time-consuming process.
That's good advice. John?
Absolutely. Just kind of piggybacking on what Abby was saying, there's so much red tape and bureaucracy in this process, and we did only, very kind of cursory glance at all of this. Getting down in it, you need somebody who's qualified to handle these types of cases, who knows the ins and the outs. It's better to get an attorney involved on the front end, whether it be Abby or somebody else who handles these types of cases. Get involved early in the process. That way you don't fall into some of the pitfalls that are out there trying to get approved for the disability.
And real quick, John, SSDI stands for?
Social Security Disability Insurance.
Yay!
Yeah, there, I got it.
He moves on. That's
got
right. He scored. Abby, thanks for the time.
Thank you so much for having me. Enjoyed it.
Yeah,
thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming on.
Glad to be here. Glad to have both of you, and glad that you are with us as well. Hope this information tonight has been helpful. We're going to wrap things up here, but the firm, the numbers and the information you see on your screen, if you need any help at all, let Hollis Wright know. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you next time on The Attorneys.
Thanks for watching The Attorneys, sponsored by Hollis Wright.